With indie studios like SpindleHorse effectively being bought out by Amazon, it raises the question, where does that leave the rest of indie animation? Thankfully, you don't have to look too far to find a brighter picture. Just to the side of that corporate dumpster fire, Australia's own Glitch Productions is absolutely thriving, recently bringing on board Disney alumni Dana Terrace, and her team of talented writers and animators that worked on The Owl House. Meanwhile, Smiling Friends creators Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel, in a surprising turn of events, have both thrown their hat in the ring with ZAM Studios, a new production company built from their hands-on experience working with some of the most talented animators in the indie scene. Cutting past the bureaucratic yellow tape of the animation scene, Zach and Michael trailblazed their way to success on Adult Swim, but now want to expand what they started independently, giving more small-time animators bigger job opportunities, just like they did for Smiling Friends, just on a larger scale. While it's easy to despair in the fact that big names of indie like vivziepop have essentially signed their names on the dotted line to Big Daddy Bezos for all of their work, almost guaranteeing my assumption that they will certainly produce more of the same content, since Amazon will likely see the most viable source of income in return for producing them is basically just the same safe, edgy vivziepop show copy-pasted until eternity. It's genuinely refreshing though to see that despite this, and Glitch Productions essentially signing off to have Murder Drones on Amazon and Digital Circus on Netflix, they are still in-house producing their own properties like Gaslight District, Knights of Guinevere, and importantly helping produce a full series for Lackadaisy. It shows that Glitch Productions hasn't let corporate backing dilute their creative spirit. Instead, they've used it to fuel their creativity by tackling a wider variety of projects with distinct styles, rather than putting all their eggs in a single show's universal basket. Rather than churning out the same formulaic content for guaranteed profit, like if they just stuck to making only Digital Circus and made shows that felt incredibly derivative of it, they continue to experiment with tone, art styles, and storytelling across all of their projects. And sure, not every show is going to make as big a splash as the Digital Circus, just like not every Nickelodeon show could be SpongeBob, but what makes them stand out is their willingness to take risks and explore new projects. Meanwhile, SpindleHorse is essentially churning out what feels like Vivzie's own lineup of SpongeBob spin-offs, with their Helliverse shows. This balance between independence and growth is something few animation studios manage to pull off, especially in an industry where success often leads to stagnation. Glitch's approach feels like a love letter to the internet-born animation scene, proof that you can grow without selling your soul. You simply take calculated creative risks. It's genuinely exciting to see that Lackadaisy has partnered with Glitch because it represents that perfect fusion between passionate independent artistry and proven online animation success.
Quick reminder, dropping a like and a comment really helps the video and the algorithm. Let me know in the comments. What do you think of the current state of indie animation?
Lackadaisy has already captured audiences with its stunning animation, rich 1920s atmosphere, and heartfelt character work, all achieved by a small, dedicated team. Meanwhile, Glitch has become known for backing creator-driven projects like Murder Drones and Sunset Paradise, giving independent animators resources and creative freedom to bring their vision to life. Together, they form a powerhouse of indie creativity and professional support, signaling a genuine new era where original animated projects can thrive outside of traditional studio systems without losing their creative vision to massive corporate overlords that go out of their way to hire their own animators and voice talent. Especially with Lackadaisy's incredibly gorgeous rendered pilot, it would be hard to imagine any other studio backing them and bringing them to life. I mean, they already did the same with Dana's gorgeously animated pilot. Instead of trapping her with a bunch of unfamiliar in-house writers and artists like goddamn Jesse Pinkman stuck cooking meth in Mexico, Dana was given the full creative freedom to bring in her own crew of trusted collaborators, resulting in a pilot that feels unmistakably Dana Terrace, which perfectly captured the dark, brooding, yet playfully serious tone of her later seasons of Owl House. Both seasons basically being her fuck it we ball arc of television, where she knew she was getting cancelled and made sure to write the show as maturely as possible. But as I mentioned before, perhaps the most exciting update in the indie animation scene to me personally is the news that Zach Hadel and Michael Cusack are teaming up with animator Aaron Fromm, the same animator behind the semi-viral Stan Lee interview where he candidly says fuck several times.
I want to legalize and legitimize the word fuck.
Aaron Fromm also animated the Smiling Friends Adult Swim bump that reimagined the characters as classic Bugs Bunny era cartoon figures. What makes this collaboration especially exciting is that Zach and Michael's new studio was born directly from their history working with their various independent animators online while producing the intricate animations for Smiling Friends. They realized that by gathering the right creative minds, instead of relying on traditional studio systems that hire whoever's on the payroll, they could streamline production, pay artists fairly, and maintain high quality without endless delays.
Even for the pilot, we went through a studio and we got the bill. We were just like, can we get the bill of this? And literally there was like charges on there, like that money could go to some animator, that money could go to some FX person, that money could go to some audio engineer, that money could go, I'm not even saying give it to us, like I don't care. And the jobs of producers are really useful, right? I mean, you can't have everything be chaotic on the fly, but like that meeting of that mentality of, well, let's schedule a meeting for 2 weeks from now to have a 5-minute call. No, let's just knock it out on Discord or on Skype in 30 seconds.
Because why pour thousands into unnecessary bureaucratic processes when you can just hire the right people, tell them what you're looking for, and let them bring it to life in their own way? Speeding up the process allows them to sit down and actually work on it on their own time without feeling pressed. That kind of creative freedom is exactly what led to some of the best animated sequences in Smiling Friends, and why Smiling Friends' Halloween episode wasn't actually a delay due to production, but simply because of scheduling from HBO, which, surprise, isn't too differently from the system that the first season of One Punch Man worked off of, where they essentially hired some of the best friends of the director in order to create that goddamn masterpiece of animation, and why the recent season has been so absolute dookie. That director and all the animators that decided to work for him that he knew were perfect for the show are just no longer there anymore. Zach and Michael essentially discovered that by cutting out the middleman, they could focus on genuine artistic synergy, and if that Smiling Friends Bugs Bunny bump is anything to go by, it's clear they're aiming to rekindle that warm, expressive 2D charm from animation's golden age, but with the bold humor and edge that defines their style today. As Zach put it best,
animation really was better back in the day. It wouldn't cost a dime more to make today's cartoons feel less stiff and sterile, but current animation productions are so decentralized and bureaucratized that creatively they lack vision.
Their statement captures the frustration shared by many artists and fans who feel modern animation has lost its soul to corporate oversight and assembly line production. ZAM positions itself as a rebellion against the industry's growing bloat and sameness, striving to create bold, high-quality animation made by people who actually understand the process. In a time where so many shows feel algorithmically designed, ZAM's philosophy of hands-on, artist-driven creation feels like a return to what made animation special in the first place. Not to throw SpindleHorse under the bus again, but this is the exact level of creative oversight that is what led to much of the stiffness in Hazbin Hotel's later animations. Since the move from YouTube to Amazon, Vivzie has talked in interviews about shifting to a more traditional animation production pipeline. In practice, that meant a full studio-style workflow, more layers of oversight, more departmental handoffs, and a lot more busy work. And with so much of the original team shaken up during the transition, the end result was a pipeline that demanded more labor while ultimately delivering less emotive, less fluid, and less polished animation. Or as most Hazbin slop enjoyers would say, it looks just fine, shut up. While of course Season 2 looks leagues ahead of Season 1, it still has that stiff, safe style that completely ignores the charm of her previous animations. Fucking fight me in the comments, I don't give a shit, that's look way better. The designs look great, and they still look good, but they lack that off-model charm that allows for fluid animation. It's that freedom to go off-model that makes so many great anime work. In the end, Glitch Productions and ZAM Studios represent a much-needed shakeup in the world of indie animation. Proof that passion and innovation can still rival even the biggest names like SpindleHorse. And yeah, maybe comparison is the thief of joy, but I say screw that, guys. Without a little creative competition, nothing ever improves. It's not about tearing anyone down, it's about pushing the medium, not a genre like Netflix and Tubi like to say, forward. Because again, I don't hate SpindleHorse, but when creators challenge each other to improve, that's when animation really evolves. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.